So today we are going to be talking about Caitlyn Clark's agent and whether or not it was just a blunder or Caitlyn made a horrible decision in signing with her. So before obviously we get on to that, we got to talk about some of the business deals that she has brokered. There is the Panini deal, which Caitlyn Clark basically gets a she's made over $1 million from just signing a couple of things. Signing quite a lot of things, but she made well over $1 million from that. And then you've got the Nike deal, which we all know is one of the worst deals in the history of pro sports. Like, this is a bigger underpay than when Steph Curry signed that $12 million a year contract when he was winning unanimous MVPs. Like, this is one of the biggest blunders. And it's not necessarily the fact that, again, it's the money for this year. It is the fact that she's tied down for 8 years. If she had signed a 1 year $4 million deal, or even a 1 year $3 million deal, which I think she's making per year from Nike anyway, she could have negotiated that into probably a $20 million deal. And it would have given her leverage, because she is going to make a cut of a signature shoe of any signature brand, but they haven't released a signature brand. So it would have given her. So basically, the agent has lost Caitlyn Clark all leverage with Nike. And Nike are doing everything they can to screw with it. But we're going to talk a little bit about that later. And we're just going to listen to what she has said about Caitlyn Clark.
Caitlyn Clark. There's really no numbers to compare to because she's going to be off the charts. So how do you and your team think of...
There are numbers to compare to. And that's, I think, the biggest problem with this is that this is is that she's an agent that does represent a lot of high-level WNBA players. The problem is Caitlyn Clark is not just a high-level WNBA player. Caitlyn Clark is bigger than the entire league. Like, you can't say, there's no numbers to compare to. Yes, there are. NBA players. Like, I could guarantee you if she'd signed with Rich Paul, that Nike deal's at least $10 million a year.
Of unique ways, or you have to go and kind of go to the drawing boards and create something after that, right? Or is that stuff that you just create the new market?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like there's not an established playbook. And I'm very lucky to be working with Alan Zucker, who's like probably one of the most iconic and prolific marketing agents in the history of sports. He works with Peyton Manning and Eli Manning. And I mean, just he's had like a ton of great experiences. And as far as clients like Caitlyn, she's one of one. Mm-hmm. And so it really is just about like setting the market.
The problem is that you've set the market. You have set the market and undervalued her. Like, you set the market with an 8-year deal. You convinced her to sign an 8-year deal with Nike, which is the biggest endorsement she's going to get. You have already cost her $15 million a year by just that deal. By just that deal alone, you've probably cost Caitlyn Clark $15 million a year. And it's not about setting a new market. It's realizing realizing her worth from the get-go. Like, she should not have signed a deal less than that of LeBron James coming into the NBA per year. Maybe shorter term, because she had that hype. If you are a good agent, you would say, okay, yeah, LeBron, I think it was something like 8 years, $100 million, whatever, coming into the NBA. That was an underpay in hindsight. But it was what? Over 11 million a year or something? 12 million a year, something like that. That's what it should have been. A good agent would have said, look, she has the same hype. Look at how many numbers she's drawing. Okay, if you don't want to offer this long term, you giving her 12 million for year one. 24 million for 2 years. And I think a good agent could have probably gotten that off somebody. For over 2 years. Especially when you've seen how many Sabrinas have sold for Nike. You're just like, Caitlyn Clark. Sabrina is nowhere near the star of Caitlyn Clark. And because her shoes look nice, they sell more than almost anybody's. Caitlyn Clark's would sell double.
And one thing Alan always says, and it's very true, is like the market tells us. Just like it's the fans that choose. I mean, there's this idea that like agents have all the control, or you can just sort of say something and make it into reality. But like the reality is you're reading the situation. Like, it's the fans that choose. There's a handful of players that have like ignited this sort of level of excitement by being incredible at what they do. but also it's like how they do it. So it's Serena Williams or I mean, you can pick. It's the iconic athletes, Simone Biles, especially when it's women. And Caitlyn's one of those. It's like how she plays the game really captured the attention of a much, much broader fan base. And so when you're going to market, those are the comps you're sort of thinking of. It's like a Serena or Simone or a Tiger Woods who changed golf, or because
I hate to say this, but like, I get the Serena Williams comparison and I understand it, but they're like, oh, talking about Serena Williams as like a one of one, but it's like, man, you're acting like Maria Sharapova didn't earn more in endorsements when she was playing tennis. Like Simone Biles, look, everybody cares about Simone Biles once every 4 years. And then Tiger Woods, fair enough, Tiger Woods, yeah. But like, she's talking about, oh, you know, we don't decide the market decides itself. And I'm like, yeah, but this is Caitlyn Clark. She is literally, I'm not joking. Caitlyn Clark could spit on a jersey and that jersey would double in value. Like, that is how big Caitlyn Clark is at the minute. Caitlyn Clark, a signed Caitlyn Clark, signed Caitlyn Clark jersey from Iowa, non-frame, nothing, is like $1,500. And they sold out. They sold out in like 5 minutes. Not even limited edition. Like, it is crazy. And she's talking about Caitlyn Clark. She's like, oh, she's one of one. And saying like, you know. And as far as brand deals go, she's gotten the Wilson one. Fair enough. There's probably a ton of money in the Wilson one. Ton of money in Panini. Blew the Nike deal. But the fact is that she is getting paid $100,000 for a half an hour speaking. And she's doing so many speaking things. So I actually don't, as much as she blew the Nike deal, I don't think it's like fire her agent immediately. I think that she made one horrible call. The problem is that one horrible, horrible call will probably cost Caitlyn Clark $100 million over the course of 8 years. Like 8 years, $28 million for Caitlyn Clark. Fair market value is 8 years, $150 million. Like, she probably cost, with that one blunder, cost Caitlyn Clark $100 million. And no, I don't know if there's any amount of work that can be done to make up for the $100 million lost from the Nike deal. As far as like NIL stuff, and NIL does not just mean colleges, name and image likeness. Like the amount of things she can do, all the Panini deals in the world. Like, I don't know if there's enough deals that she can humanly bring in to make up for that one blunder. And I don't think she's done a terrible job out of, like, with all the other deals. But I do think going with a WNBA agent instead of going for, like, a power agent, a Rich Paul, one of, like, the top tier basketball agents who would have probably taken Caitlyn Clark in their portfolio. And one of the high NBA agents, maybe if it's not Rich Paul, we all just know Rich Paul's name, but one of the agents from other top tier players, I think one of them would have brokered a much better deal with Nike, or at least had a short-term deal. And I do just think in hindsight that convincing Caitlyn, unless Caitlyn pushed for the long-term deal and it was all about security and she did a Scottie Pippen, that one contract probably cost Caitlyn Clark, that one 8-year deal was probably cost Caitlyn Clark more money than she'll make during those 8 years. Because fair market value is $15 million a year for Nike. As well as that, the fact that there are no conditions about her getting a shoe by X amount of time means that, look, even as bad as the money would be for the direct payment, if she had her signature shoe and her signature line where she's making 5% of everything with her name that's sold on it, she would then probably make up that money. But the problem is that Nike are, it's ineffectively proven they're not doing anything with Caitlyn Clark because they're scared about how it would affect the A'ja Wilson line, which nobody's going to buy. A'ja Wilson's a great player, nobody cares on the outside. And yeah, I don't know if she deserves to be fired, because I think anything outside the Nike deal, she's done pretty well. She just did such a bad job with the Nike deal that she could be the best agent in the world. But that one deal was so bad, as she probably would have still cost Caitlyn Clark money by the end of her deal.